Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
In the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with gold waistband, fighting from Chicago, Illinois, and representing Don King's Productions, comes the challenger for the title, ranked number 1 by the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF. He comes to the ring tonight with a professional record of 24 victories, 17 by KO, and has just 5 losses in his 29-fight career. He weighs 231 1/4 pounds, 16 stone, 7 1/4. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Atomic Bull, Oliver McCall. And in the red corner, wearing black trunks with red trim, fighting out of his native East London, he is a former Olympic gold medalist whose professional record is undefeated in 25 contests, 21 coming by way of knockout. Tonight, he is making his 4th defense of the title. He comes to the ring weighing 238 pounds, 17 stone even. He is a former undefeated heavyweight champion of Great Britain, the Commonwealth, and Europe. He is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World.
Lennox Lewis looking for the 4th defense of his WBC title. Of course, Lewis was handed the WBC belt when Riddick Bowe, as then undisputed champ, threw it away rather than facing the Big Brit. Odd scene here is Oliver McCall is not listening to the referee to come out for the instructions.
Come on here, McCall. Come on here.
Taking his time.
Water.
Lewis waits patiently. Quite noticeable in the pre-fight lead-up that Lewis was calm and McCall emotional.
Remember that the foul is compounds. Don't hit with the head. To win the match, okay, good luck, and the match, we win. Go to your corners.
Jose Guadalupe Garcia from Mexico, the referee, here at Wembley Arena, 1 a.m. in the morning for Lennox Lewis's title defense against Oliver McCall. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside the Iceman, John Scully. Ice Lewis is a big favorite in this fight. McCall is a sturdy and physical Chicago native, but a guy who, back stateside, best known as one of Mike Tyson's primary sparring partners, and really doesn't have that signature win in his career to date that makes you think that he stands a good chance against the formidable opponent Lennox Lewis.
Well, that's the thing, really. I mean, I know about Oliver McCall, but the main thing that I know about him is that he used to give Mike Tyson a lot of trouble in the gym. That was his main claim to fame. So this is obviously the biggest. If he could ever pull this off, this would be his biggest win to date. He doesn't have, like you said, that signature win that would make you think he has any kind of chance.
McCall is the WBC's #1 contender, trained by Manny Stewart. McCall tries to come in with the left hook. Lewis hooks him up behind the head and under the left arm. Of course, so much made of Lennox Lewis. He was born here in London, but raised in Jamaica and had Olympic glory in Canada. But now, as a pro, he is back here in England, where the reception has been somewhat lukewarm.
I can see that. I mean, for all the time that I've known about Lennox, since going back to about 1986, he was a Canadian boxer. And everything I know about Lennox is him as a Canadian. And actually, when he started boxing out of London and everyone was saying how he's a Brit, it kind of surprised me. I was like, well, man, I know this guy from being on the Olympic team for Canada and fighting internationally for them. So I think, he technically, I guess he's British, but people probably see him as a Canadian more than anything.
Well, and he's got a real tough label to shed because it was only last year when he had that fight against Frank Bruno when he uncorked that huge left hand that changed the fight and he won by TKO. Bruno was being framed as the true Brit.
Right.
And Lewis was the guy who, yes, he had the upside, yes, he had the undefeated record, but he's not one of us.
Right. He was British in their eyes, and Bruno was doing very well in that fight also up until the stoppage.
Do you like what Oliver McCall is doing here in round number 1, where he's trying to be a little more assertive and show Lewis that he can be a physical player?
I think that's one good strategy against Lennox, because Lennox, it's obvious he's a much bigger man to me. He's much taller and just seems more imposing. So I think Oliver can't stay on the outside and expect to win. So I like this, the way he's throwing punches and trying to take it to Lennox, backing him up.
Lewis at times can be hesitant, can be a safety-first counter-puncher. When he utilizes that big jab, that's when he's at his best. Tries to come over the top with a right hand. And McCall, although not landing, is letting him know there's going to be something that returns at you. Not a bad opening stanza for Oliver McCall. '29-year-old Oliver McCall with trainer Manny Stewart.
Move down for me. You're looking good, okay? Fighting a very intelligent fight, and you're taking his big punch away from him in the right hand. You shot it twice, and every time you roll and counter. You caught him with it once the next time, but you're going to make him quit throwing it if you keep rolling and counter, okay? But when that little counter hook you're doing is working. It's clumsy, but it's working. When he jabs, how you're blocking and you're throwing a hook, keep doing it because it's not landing, but it's moving him out off balance. That's right, but you're moving him off balance when you throw that shot, okay?
So Manny Stewart wants to see the good countering. McCall endorses that, saying, I'll look for the short right hand. Meanwhile, Lennox Lewis, the undefeated champ.
Nice and easy there. 10 seconds, here's the mouthpiece. Stay on the stick. Keep it in the circle. When he's inside, try to catch him. The uppercut coming in.
Stay on the stick. The command for Lennox Lewis, and you would have to think that if the big 6'5" Lewis does stay busy working that jab, it'll be a very long and difficult night for Oliver McCall. Joe Tessitore alongside John Scully, Wembley Arena. Lewis now coming in, flicks out that jab. Oh, it's a short right hand. A short right hand.
That's what he called. That's what he said.
Hey, and Lewis doesn't look good.
9.
This fight is over. It is over. What a shocker here in England.
He called it perfect.
Lewis is incredulous. McCall is celebrating. A new heavyweight champ, and it comes in stunning fashion with a second-round knockout. Can you believe that? Oliver McCall, one single right hand floors Lennox Lewis. John Scully, what did you make of that stoppage?
I mean, he fell forward at the very last second. He was hurt. I mean, he protested it, but I get the impression that might have been instincts taking over. I mean, he was hurt. He was definitely hurt. He was unsteady for sure.
Jose Guadalupe Garcia, the referee, looked at Lennox Lewis, tried to assess the situation. At that point, Lewis still was unsteady. He called the fight.
He fell forward. He almost pushed the referee over.
Counted out.
And now Lewis, you can see, accepting the circumstances. Talk me through it, John.
Well, I mean, he said it in the corner. I'm going to look for the short right hand, and he threw it, and there it is. Unbelievable that he called it perfectly.
Right on the button. Good, solid shot.
And it's amazing. He was calm in the corner. He said it matter-of-factly. I'm going to look for the short right hand. And so he saw something obviously in the first round that led him to believe he could do that.
First loss in the career of Lennox Lewis. And all those plans of a mega unification fight, of the more lucrative big-time showcases against heavyweight contenders, or even Michael Moore, heavyweight champ, they are now out the window. Lennox Lewis has been defeated. What a stunner. There's the man who did it, Jose Guadalupe Garcia. He reached the count of 9. Lewis was still falling forward a bit. Some will say it was a quick stoppage. Oliver McCall doesn't care. Tears of joy as he celebrates with trainer Manny Stewart. Oliver McCall is the new WBC heavyweight champ. Let's get the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 31 seconds of round 2, the referee has counted out Lennox Lewis, the winner and new WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Oliver McCall.
The man known as the Atomic Bull just exploded and gored the Big Brit. Oliver McCall is your new WBC heavyweight champ.
Present 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman Dr. Elias Ghanem, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Lorenzo Fertitta, Luther Mack, and Dr. James Nave. Executive Director Mark Ratner. Physicians at ringside, lead physician Dr. Flip Homansky. Attending physicians Dr. James Wishgame, Dr. Al Capana, and Dr. Robert Voy. The timekeepers at the bell and counting to the knockdown seconds will be Jane Broadfoot and Mike Lachella. This contest also, of course, is sanctioned by the World Boxing Council. President at ringside tonight, Jose Suleiman. WBC Supervisor, Edward Thangaraja. The 3 judges scoring the contest on the 10-point must system will be Anik Hungtungkam, Larry O'Connell, and Dalby Shirley. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Mills Lane. And now for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. From the Las Vegas Hilton, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! In the blue corner, wearing black, weighing 237 pounds, he brings a professional record of 28 victories, 20 by knockout, against 6 losses. This evening he plans a return to glory by proving his victory over 2.5 years ago against the man he now faces was not a fluke. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois, introducing the WBC number 2 ranked heavyweight contender, the former WBC World Heavyweight Champion, the Atomic Bull, Oliver McCall. And across the ring in the red corner, wearing white trimmed with the Union Jack, weighing 251 pounds. He's a 1988 Olympic gold medal winner who now, as a professional, has a record of 29 victories, 24 by knockout with only 1 defeat. And tonight, he has the chance to regain this title by avenging that lone loss on his record. From East London, England, presenting the number 1 ranked WBC heavyweight contender, former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
All right, hey, no, step back. Hey, look. Here you go. Now, just a minute. There you go, that's right. Oh, wait a minute, Greg. Manny, if he goes right there, I'm not going to call it low, all right?
No problem.
We've already gone through the instructions. This is for the title. Expect a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions from Mr. Lewis's corner?
No problem, no question.
Mr. McCall's corner. Let's get it on.
Jim, you might call this the civil trial after the criminal trial. Let's see if the verdict is any different in a new venue with a new set of jurors.
And speaking of the venue, a 3-year absence from the major boxing scene for the Las Vegas Hilton. But you may remember some of the times you've been here in the past. For Leon Spinks' upset of Muhammad Ali in 1978. Michael Spinks' upset of Larry Holmes in 1986. The night that Mike Tyson knocked out Trevor Berbick to become the youngest heavyweight champion ever, that was here. Julio Cesar Chavez's dramatic 12th round KO of Meldrick Taylor behind on the scorecards, that was here as well. Round 1 begins. Emmanuel Stewart said that he expected Lewis to be tentative for the first few rounds of this fight until he shakes off the memories of his loss to McCall in 1994.
Memories of that one punch.
Stewart goes on to point out that Lennox is by nature a cautious counterpuncher at the beginning of his fights anyway. Amid all of his turbulent emotions the last time around, McCall effectively followed the fight plan put forth by Stewart. Does he have another plan tonight?
In the early going of the first fight, there was such a look of intensity on McCall's face. It looked like he was in labor. He's been much calmer coming into this round.
Come on, let's go, come on.
Mills Lane asking McCall not to jump on top of Lewis and try to maul him as he's done a couple of times early on. What about Lennox Lewis's jab, George Foreman?
Let's face it, Lennox Lewis can win this fight with just his left hand. If he settles down and just uses his left hand, he won't have any problems at all. Just keep his right hand at home until it creates itself. From long reach, he can do it.
Lewis has a long-standing tendency to paw with the jab or to hold it out there and leave it there. Is it getting any better?
Well, he's got that reach, and when you have a reach like that and the power like that, you can do anything you want, so long as you're not breaking the rule.
That time he hooked after faking a jab, the hook off the jab.
And I got to say that now that we see Lewis in the ring with trunks on, 251 doesn't look bad on him.
Well, he's got a great body. There's no doubt about that. He can conceal it. Trunks are a little high.
When you have that much reach, Lewis can have Oliver McCall slinging and going wild all night and not be able to reach his head if he just stands back, uses his reach. Good body punch by McCall. And when you're 250 pounds, you don't want to be hitting the body much.
Round 1, kind of a feeling out round for Lewis. McCall made some noise early and has been largely acquiescent in the last 2 minutes of the round.
McCall jumped on Lennox Lewis, which played right into Lewis's hand.
Here you saw the very eager McCall leaping into the ring before the fight. He didn't seem that eager during the first round.
Use the jab, you'll hit the guy with something. Don't run in, Oliver, because this guy's trying to set you up. He's jabbing, he's out jabbing you. Right, okay. But you got to out jab him. Okay. Let's take your time and you'll hit him. Don't be anxious trying to hit him with nothing big. Just use the jab, you'll see the big shot. You understand? Now, but stay on top of the guy. Keep him going back. Don't you go back, because this guy can't fight too well going back. He can't throw punches. But if you let him come forward,
Seconds out.
If you let him come forward, he's going to be able to hit you.
Come on, Manny.
George Benton asking Oliver McCall for more aggression, saying Lewis can't fight if he's going backward. McCall was unable to make Lewis go backward in an effective way in the first round, and Lewis comes out and establishes that pumping jab at the beginning of round 2. 49 of Lewis's 57 thrown punches in the first round were jabs. He didn't land but 10 of them, but he set the tempo early.
Yeah, you know, Lewis has got to be patient, of course. He's going to be a little reluctant because of the earlier fight with that right hand. Let this guy rush him. His corner told him to charge Lewis, but you never want to follow and charge or punch you around. That's when you get yourself hurt.
Come on, quick grab it. Come on, I'm going to grab it. Come on, quick grab it.
You want to make a puncher chase you.
Grab it, come on.
Because he's not effective going forward.
And as McCall threw 2 wild overhand rights, you saw how wary of that punch Lewis is. Now there's a good stiff jab by McCall inside, his best punch of the fight so far. And Lewis demonstrates exactly what Benton talked about. Doesn't throw punches when he backs up and opens himself up by dropping his hands.
Instead of coming in and clutching or punching, he backs up and leaves himself open.
Hard right hand by Lewis. And he just misses an uppercut that might have done even more damage. So Lennox Lewis begins to throw the right and takes advantage of the charging McCall with that uppercut.
Yes, on this occasion, rather than backing up, he threw the uppercut when McCall was charging him.
And McCall ducks his head and looks away as Lewis misses over his right hand.
Come on, let him go. Get off that hand, come on.
Lewis suddenly finding something with the uppercut here in the second round. That's going to slow down McCall's charges, although here McCall gets to him with a left and a right.
Let him go, come on.
This when those 250 pounds start working against you. You can't just bump up into a guy with that much weight all night and not start feeling it, the results on your body.
Call trying to land the right hand over the top again. This time Lewis blocks one and fires his own right hand. Lewis definitely looks gun shy when McCall releases the right, but aside from those moments, he's getting the better of Oliver.
Now, this is what you call backing up. Lewis is doing a good job of backing up. Really, you call when he was running backwards. That's not backing up. But he's fighting a good fight, moving backwards.
Another uppercut lands in there for Lewis as round 2 comes to a close. A round largely dominated by Lennox Lewis's uppercuts.
Feeling good? Okay, you got to keep your right hand up. Your right hand is getting a little sloppy, okay? Keep your right hand up and start getting to him a little bit first, okay? You got past the second round. You got to start breaking at him a little bit more. You let him initiate a little too much. Jab, break it in, but you got to start a little faster. Your hands are coming from too low, okay? And the boy's nothing but if you want to look at his film, you're going to see how bad he looks. Anytime he runs, you put his eyes there, but don't go to the rope. Try to go in a circle and keep your hands up.
George, is he throwing this uppercut correctly or from inside, or is he too far outside?
Well, this is a big man. He's way up there. He'll never be able to throw a perfect uppercut because he's coming from his arms have got to go down to the level of his opponent. So,
and there you saw a good right hand later in the round.
It's going to turn out a bolo no matter what.
By Bledstedt numbers in the first 2 rounds, Lennox Lewis has virtually doubled Oliver McCall's punch output. McCall releasing 57 punches. Lewis throwing 111. 91 of those punches counted by our punch stat numbers figures were jabs. Lennox Lewis criticized throughout his career for bad balance, getting a little steadier on his feet now as round 3 begins.
Lewis is doing some good boxing, although Oliver McCall is not putting his punches together. He's trying more to psych this man out rather than whippings.
Are you suggesting, George, that he's trap shooting, looking to lay a trap and just land that big right again?
More than anything else, trying to wait around and fights go quick, you know.
uppercut lands for Lewis. Finding, as George Foreman points out, opportunities to box effectively.
Yeah, that's what he want to do, is to box, move around, save his power for when he sees something perfect. Oliver McCall has got to mix it up and make this boy get wild with him. If he can make Lewis get wild, then he can get that right hand in again.
But as long as Lewis is able to stand flat-footed, flick the jab, and keep McCall at a distance like this, there isn't much Oliver can do.
That's true. 3 minutes goes by real quick. You got to remember, Oliver McCall was a bit smaller the first time they fought, so that right hand was delivered a lot quicker.
Be interesting to see what kind of stamina McCall has tonight if this goes into the later rounds. Remember, he was in rehab for one of his multiple substance abuse problems at the beginning of his training camp. Lewis now landing hard right hands from over the top behind the jab.
Now Lewis, if he wants, he can just do that all night. Why change anything? McCall is doing the acting job because he can't do anything else.
McCall starting to look around and mug for the crowd as though he's either bored or frustrated. One thing he's not doing for the moment is winning rounds.
He's hardly fighting right now.
He has so much confidence in his stamina. He's been in with some of the good boxers before, and later on, they wear down.
Good combination by Lewis. Left hook and a right hand over the top. McCall dancing as if to say, you can't hurt me. But Lewis is piling up points easily against a too passive Oliver McCall.
That's what you want your fighter to do. Win every round. If a knockout comes, good.
That was almost a 2-point round. Lewis was so dominant.
Okay, I gave you 2 rounds. I gave him another one. So you got 2 rounds in the bank, okay? I gave you one of them, the other one to him, okay? Working the jab. Feeling all right? Just take your time, son, and start ripping him to the body a little bit now, okay? But you're not pushing back in it. You're going to start pushing him.
McCall is doing a very strange thing here, folks.
He's walking around.
He's wandering around the ring. He hasn't gone to his corner, and he's trying to figure out what's gone wrong, why he's not into this fight. The people in his corner are looking at him and wondering what's going on.
And you can see the disgust on George Benton's face.
I wonder if that's against the rules or not. Harold, you know anything about it?
You're supposed to stay in the corner, George, but I tell you the truth, he doesn't have to sit down. You don't sit down, for example. But you are supposed to stay in the corner. You can't wander out into the middle of the ring. The referee should have definitely got it back to a corner.
Oliver McCall threw a total of 15 punches, according to our punch stat numbers in round number 3. And here he takes a hard right hand to begin the 4th. So whether McCall is disgusted with himself, his corner, the referee, Lennox Lewis, the whole occupation of boxing, who knows? Lewis seems unsure what to do as McCall occasionally looks away from him and invites him to attack. This is a bizarre scene. Bizarre scene. What should Lewis do, George?
Well, you got to stay within the rules. Don't break any rules by hitting your guy behind the back or something like that. Then you can get yourself in trouble.
It looks like he's quitting, and I'm surprised that Mills Lane, in his 19th heavyweight championship fight, hasn't gone over and said something to him about, you got to fight. Oliver, you got to fight. That's what Mills should be saying to him, because he's not doing anything. This is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a championship fight.
Well, on Tuesday of this week.
And he's shaking his head at George as if to say, there's something wrong, I got nothing here. Unless he's playing the greatest game of possum I ever saw.
Right hand by Lewis. McCall able to take it, even though he had his hands down. It's got to be a difficult thing for Lewis. He's aiming punches at a sitting duck here.
I don't know if the referee should let a fight like this go on. I mean, this is not what audiences...
Yeah, now Mills Lane is going to call time and have a conversation with McCall. McCall has thrown 1 punch in the round. This is a bizarre display. I personally have never seen anything like it. He's not even looking at Lewis as he walks away.
As far as you know.
All right, let's go to Larry Merchant, who's with George Benton in McCall's corner. Larry?
This man's mind is gone.
George, you're saying that you think he snapped in there?
Well, you're watching it. You ever seen anything like this in your life?
Never.
Did you see any sign of anything wrong with him during training?
No, never.
Did you see any sign of anything in the dressing room before the fight?
Nothing.
Do you think the referee should stop this fight because he's not fighting back?
I won't. I'm in this man's corner. I won't voice no opinion on that. But you see this man, he's still there. All he's got to do is fight.
Thank you, George.
Well, Oliver McCall's been talking religion this week, saying that he has found God in his life. That's his new mechanism for attempting to deal with all the problems that have haunted him in the past. Tuesday, he told a group of boxing writers, I'm going to retire after this fight. It's not godly to train for a long period of time to go out and try to hurt another man. Then Wednesday, at a pre-fight news conference, he said, no, I'm not going to retire. I will keep fighting after I win the championship. But something interferes with Oliver McCall's motivation as round 4 closes here.
Jim, I think this fight should be stopped right now.
Yeah, the fight shouldn't go on. I wouldn't want to see.
I mean, this is a farce. What is the old saying? The first time is tragedy. The second time is farce. There's something wrong with Oliver McCall. He's near tears now. He doesn't really want to fight. He's crying in his corner. I've never seen anything like this. He's overwhelmed with some sort of emotion.
Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself, man. Come on, take some water.
He doesn't want to fight.
Come on, sit down, man. Sit down.
Oliver, sit down. Now, you want to fight? Huh? You don't want to fight?
Yeah, you want to fight. Come on.
Seconds out. Come on.
You can win this fight. Take his boy out here. Hey, man. Come on and fight this fucker. This is for your daughter, man. Take this guy out here.
You heard Mills Lane say, do you want to fight? Reluctantly, it seems, he said yes, but it doesn't show on his face.
McCall's share of tonight's purse amounts to close to $3 million.
If I was in the commission here, I would hold that purse up. This is a disgrace. It's almost like you're watching a man come apart at the seams.
Well, in a life filled with crises, Oliver McCall is having one right now before the eyes of the world, and it's placed Lennox Lewis in an awfully difficult and awkward position. Lewis doing what he has to do.
This isn't right.
You wonder how much longer Mills Lane will allow this to go on, and that's going to be it.
Well, I've seen some strange things in boxing. That is surely one of the strangest.
With a whimper, not a bang, Lennox Lewis has just become the WBC World Heavyweight Champion for the second time in his career. Mark Ratner, Executive Director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, joins us now at ringside. Mark, your take on what you just saw.
We are going to hold up his purse. We are not going to let him cash his letter of credit. We're very upset with what happened. We'll have a full investigation. He will not get paid tonight.
It did not appear as though he wanted to fight.
That is correct. We're very upset.
Thank you very much, Mark. So now Larry Merchant goes into the ring, and George, that was painful.
Yeah, but this guy's had a painful life for the last few moments. He's been under counseling for drugs, and believe me, there's a lot of young people in that fix, in the same fix he's in. Someone's going to have to help him.
The last thing he needs in his life is the pressure of boxing right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, and the crowd is cheering, and I wanted to just get up there and embrace him and let him know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, because where do you go from here?
Let's hope he can continue to pursue the path of religion in which he now believes, and that can be the reconstructive mechanism in his life.
Yeah, believe me, there are a group of people in this country who's in the same shape he is, and they really need us. And this guy is in bad shape, and he needs us. And I don't know, I'm sorry to see the boxing crowd see something like that, because maybe they're unfamiliar with it, but we see this every day in the lives of young people who got mixed up, got on the wrong side of the track, and they can't get back on. George don't want to go to work today.
Let's go to Michael Buffer, the ring announcer, for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Las Vegas Hilton, referee Mills Lane has to call a halt to this bout. It comes as Oliver McCall refuses to defend himself, referee declaring a technical knockout at 55 seconds of round number 5. the winner, and now a two-time WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the pride of Great Britain, Lennox.
Lennox, congratulations, I guess. What did you see?
Well, I think the main thing is, I went out there and just asserted myself. I didn't allow him to come in too much. I think he found it difficult to get through my jab. I was just playing with him with my jab, just popping it out, waiting for him to make a move. And, when he started walking away, I thought it was a joke at first. I thought he was trying to nail me into something. But then, he kept on going. So I just picked up the pace and just continued.
Do you think that his idea was to come out, try to land one more big right on you and end it? Otherwise, he really didn't want to fight?
Well, the first time we met, I realized that it was a lucky punch, and I told the world that it was a lucky punch because he doesn't have enough skill that can contend with me. The main thing, I just went out there and just, put my jab out, and he couldn't really contend with that, and, basically gave up.
Do you think he was having some kind of a breakdown in the ring?
I don't know. I wore these white trunks for a reason, but,
What was the reason?
Oh, just to look good and have a mental kind of stress on him. Seeing me come out as a gladiator in some sense.
What do you want to do next?
Next, I want to get in the ring as soon as possible and just continue the winning success that I'm having.
Thank you very much, Lennox Lewis.